Welcome to tonight's game between the Devils and Rangers, part of the Tri-State Challenge presented by Ford. From New York City, it feels like a Metropolitan Division matchup. It's an old rivalry in a new garden, the Devils and Rangers, and the opening face-off is straight ahead. Again tonight, all three local teams are on the ice and on the air. The Ranger coverage of our game is on MSG. The Islanders have a Predators team that the Devils beat on Sunday, but we're glad you're with us in our coverage of the Devils and the Rangers. As we welcome you ice side, and it is the Devils' first look at the new MSG, and they are expecting to see a different team on the ice as well. The Rangers started the season 3-7, but since then have gone 6-1, while the Devils are playing some of their best hockey of the season as well. Looking forward to it. Here's Steve Cangelosi and Chico Resch.
You said it, Deb. Great anticipation for this game because each team is playing very well, and in the case of the Devils, their confidence bolstered by a 5-goal breakout in their last game. 5 different goal scorers, and you might say it takes all types to produce a win like this. There was the game's active scoring leader, Jaromir Jagr, eclipsing 1,700 points for his career. Marek Zidlitsky scored, and he added his team-leading 9th assist, and Cam Janssen found his name on the score sheet for the second time in 3. Talk about a team win.
And Steve, team wins are always the best because nothing produces more confidence throughout a team than team wins. We had to pick 3 guys, though. Here you're going to see Jaromir Jagr. I think, Steve, safe to say the snap is back in Jaromir Jagr's snapshot. That was a brilliant shot as he was moving across these high slot, and then he just lays it over with the right velocity, and Travis Zajac, needing a goal, just hammered that home. And Marek Zidlitsky, he started as a leader offensively, led the team in points for a while, and I think he's getting better and better. He likes to scoring goals and getting assists. There you see a blast that gave the Devils a little bit of a cushion. But here's one of our favorites, right? Cam Janssen driving the net. The puck's there. And as Marty Brodeur said, he's got to work on his celebration a little bit. But other than that, what a delight and inspiration Cam Janssen has been. But in that game, Steve, was there really one player that didn't play well? Absolutely not. And that's what the Devils hope to bring tonight here in Madison Square Garden.
Well, head coach Pete DeBoer says he didn't wrestle all that much with the decision about a starting goaltender tonight. He's going with the hot hand, Marty Brodeur. But really, you could make the case for Marty's teammate as well. Corey Schneider shut out the Rangers in the last meeting between the teams on the 19th of October. It's Brodeur with shutouts in each of his last 2 starts. Their goals against averages are identical. It's a nice problem to have, choosing between one or the other.
I'm sure Pete DeBoer wanted one problem this year, Steve, and it was that. 2 goalies playing well, who do I choose? But here's the thing is, when a goalie's had a couple of shutouts, you know, athletes are very superstitious, especially hockey players. You're going to say, well, we got to stay with the same guy. We don't want to mess with a winning formula. We don't want to do anything to maybe disrupt what's been happening. And honestly, Brodeur, these games that he's played are perfect for him. Not a lot of shots, but he's had good puck control. He's grabbed the puck, helped with the breakouts. It's been his type of games. He's come through. Last thing I'll say, a few weeks ago, and they keep talking about this, Marty Brodeur played the media like a fiddle. He said, well, I guess Corey Schneider's going to be number 1, and like he's handing it, you know, the torch to him. I'm thinking, Marty doesn't mean that. That guy's too competitive. And now what we really have going here are 2 great goalies who I think are both going to have a chance to show their best stuff and be an impact player throughout this season.
Well, when Marty looks down the ice 178 feet away, he'll see a familiar face. Henrik Lundqvist and the Rangers have won 3 straight, and unlike the first meeting this year, New York has its captain healthy, and in the lineup, that's Ryan Callahan. Opening face-off at MSG next.
Jaromir Jagr scored just 1:30 into the game on Sunday night. What do the Devils need to do to get off to another good start?
More of the same. Not saying they're going to score in the first minute, Deb, but get the puck in the Rangers' end and spend some time there. That's what they've done much better in the last 4 games, and no coincidence they've played better hockey. Spend time in the offensive end. It wears teams down whether you score or not.
All right, yeah, straight from a defenseman. Spend team in the other zone. Steve?
Devin Dano, I'm telling you, it's at the point where they're game planning against the guy. Cam Janssen, the first time he's scored multiple goals in a season since 2003-2004 when he was a junior player at Guelph, and the 2 goals which has led to a lot of jocularity in the room. In truth, good plays and well earned by Cam.
2 goals, no penalty minutes. That's what you like. I mean, he's gonna be cranked. You see him got the smelling salts. He'll be revved up. But let's just hope for Cam's sake he continues to show the same self-control he has.
Devils start out with the line of Travis Zajac, Jaromir Jagr, and Dinas Zubris underway at the Garden. Different look to the building from the last time the Devils were here in the season finale last year. The same great energy you expect when these teams meet here in Midtown Manhattan. Puck taken here by Ranger defenseman Ryan McDonough, and he winds it around the near boards. Chris Kreider tries to bank it away. Devils on the forecheck. They send it behind goal. Jaromir Jagr giving chase. Dan Girardi able to swoop it away from him only momentarily. Quick shot by Dinas Zubris, and that goes wide and out of play.
Well, the launching pad for the New Jersey Devils all season long is going to be their defense. But how impressive is this, folks? In the last 6 games, they've only allowed 20.5 shots total, and 3 of those were on the road. And, you know, we don't know how high the Rockets going to go in terms of scoring each night. It might be 2, it might be 3. The other night was 5. But one thing we do know, the launching pad is always going to be the Devils' defense.
Damian Brunner on the far side for the Devils. Poked deep into the Rangers' end once again. Good start for New Jersey on the forecheck. Marek Zidlitsky able to pinch in, tries to come in front with it, and that's swept away by New York. Brad Richards plays it behind his goal and collected here by New York. And lifted out towards center where Adam Henrique gets a handle on it, and it's sent back in by Anton Volchenkov. Went off a body before it got into the Ranger zone, and now back for the Devils is Volchenkov. Comes out to center and collected here by the Ranger captain Ryan Callahan. He's missed a handful of games this year, battling back from shoulder surgery and then a broken thumb. Dumped in by Adam Larsson and sticked aside by Henrik Lundqvist. Batted down, Larsson able to hold the zone, tries to throw one in front. Laktianov lurking there, and now on the forecheck, Steve Bernier. He's pinned deep in the Ranger zone. Puck jarred loose, and New York able to work it out to center. Collected here by Derek Dorsett. Jelinov tries to play it back the other way. And collected here in the Devils zone and picked up by Jelinov.
Nice play by Adam Larsson defensively. That was a terrific move, Steve. He one-handed that puck to a teammate after blocking out the Ranger attacker with the other.
Jelinov paired with Larsson since his arrival here in the NHL this season. Taken here by Ryan Carter, and that shot pulled the trigger and it went wide. Dorsett for the Rangers able to lift this out to center. Opening moments at the Garden. As Devin Dano told you, Devils scored 1.5 minutes into the game in their last victory. Looking for the effective start again, and here's Cam Janssen on for his first shift with Jacob Josephson and Ryan Carter. Shoveled out to center, Josephson tries to pick it up for the Devils. Loose at center ice and now sent towards Marty Brodeur. Leaves this for Peter Harold. Devils defenseman with a big contribution in the last win against Nashville, combining for 5 assists in that win.
Saw Alain Vigneault before the game, and I said, hey, starting to go better? He says, yeah, we're starting to turn it around into the right directions. No kidding. They've won 6 of the last 7, and I knew he would. I mean, he's an outstanding communicator, a great coach, his systems and everything. He's got a good coach. I mean, he's a real bright coach. But you never know, right, Steve? Like, you think it's going to happen, but how long is it going to take? But the West Coast trip for both these teams really didn't help them. And I think they're both now over that stretch, and both teams are playing real good hockey.
Well, it was mostly tongue-in-cheek, but there was talk, would Vigneault survive before the Rangers played their first home game? He is doing well now with this team that comes in winners of 3 straight. Here's Jagr walking in, takes it behind goal, throws one in front, and it comes back to the point here for Volchenkov. His shot blocked away and hammered out to center by New York. Picked up here by Dan Girardi for the Rangers, and Chris Kreider plays it back. This is the Rangers' top defensive pairing, as it's been for some time now. McDonough paired with Dan Girardi.
4 lines have now hit the ice for the Devils. All 4 had good starts to this game.
Anton Stralman in training camp with the Devils 2 years ago, signed with the Rangers instead, and now taken here by New York. Pass for Brad Richards, broken up. Adam Larsson there, and it's shoveled ahead by Eric Jelinov to the stick of Henrique. Given here to Michael Ryder. Plays it across for Damian Brunner. Tries to make his move around Mark Stahl. Stahl able to seal him off. Brunner still battling for the puck deep in the Rangers zone. Damian Brunner, no points in his last 6. One of the players the Devils want to see get going. Hammered into the New Jersey end. Carl Hagelin giving chase for the Rangers. Puck loose along the near boards. Taken here by Michael Ryder, and he shovels it back towards New York's end. Second of 5 meetings between the teams this season. 2 here at the Garden, 2 at the Rock, and 1 at Yankee Stadium on the 26th of January. Puck comes back towards the point. Unable to keep the zone is New York, and it's taken here by Dorsett. Sent the length of the ice, and this will be our first icing call of the night.
Well, tonight's key players are brought to you by Pure Hockey. No one has more hockey sticks at the lowest prices, and that's guaranteed, than Pure Hockey. And how about these two guys? Adam Henrique, he's had like a magic dust sprinkled on him every time he's played the Rangers. There you see what he's done. He got that big blast in the first game, and Ryan Callahan, maybe the most important captain, at least one of them in the National Hockey League. Steve, without him, it's just like a whole different look to their team. With him in there, he's been getting it all done.
Callahan absent for the first meeting between the teams, and the Rangers were finding their way without their very valuable captain. Taken here by Stahl, and Stralman plays this towards the Devils' end. Zidlitsky back. It's another icing call. Well, how about Martin Brodeur defying Father Time? The oldest players in the history of the National Hockey League to post consecutive shutouts. You're looking at the group 41 and older. Johnny Bauer did it in 1968 at the age of 43. Dominik Hasek did it twice. Dwayne Rollason, age 41 in 2011. And Brodeur joins that club with his last 2 games. Good job by the folks at Elias Sports Bureau to give us that. Taken here by Matt Zuccarello.
And why was Johnny Bauer the unique person in that?
The man who got the late start in the NHL. But go ahead, go further.
He was the only goalie.
Shot by Stepan is blocked away by Brodeur.
He was the only goalie that did it without a mask. But right now, that doesn't really matter. Rangers' first flurry here.
Another try, blocked away in front. That's off the leg of Volchenkov and picked up here by Ryan Carter.
What a good start for Marty Brodeur. He's been sitting there for 5 minutes just watching, trying to get his head in the game, and then a great shot from the slot, but he's already challenged and make a good shoulder save.
Work back to the point, taken here. Adam Larson, wrist shot. It's gloved by Lundqvist. He can't play it cleanly. Puck loose behind the Rangers net and taken here by Henrique. Back to the point, Adam Larson plays it across. Jelena, wrist shot, blocked away. Might have gone off Bruner, who's quickly on the puck. He fires, and that goes off the side of goal. Devils with a response. Shot by Jelena, and it's held by Henrik Lundqvist.
Oh yeah, Adam Henrique in the crease where he scored that big goal against the Rangers a couple of years ago in the playoffs, hoping to do it again.
How valuable has Jaromir Jagr been to the New Jersey Devils? He is actively involved in so many situations for the team. His re-entry to the NHL, coming back from Omsk of the KHL, was with the Flyers in 2011-2012. He averaged 16.5 minutes in his first year back. 2 years later, New Jersey Devils, through the first 17 games, look at that increase in playing time for Jaromir Jagr.
But give the coaches credit. The last game against Nashville, game was in hand. He only played 14.5 minutes. Pete DeBoer is going to manage his minutes well and use them when he needs them and give him a little break when he doesn't.
He played last year for Boston at the end. Jelena with a drive, and that goes wide. Rangers can't clear the zone. Picked up here by Larson. Blocked away off the skate of Brad Richards. Hammered back in by Jelena. Loose in the Rangers' end. And poked out to center and quickly picked up by Richards. He's in. Larson, the defenseman, back. Richards put the brakes on, blocked away by Larson. And the Rangers can't hold the zone.
What a start to the game by Adam Larson. There he makes a big block, Steve. He chips it softly up the boards, gets it out of the zone.
Backhanded into the Devils' end by Ryan Callahan. Andy Green quickly to get that away from Richards. And Dina Zubris will chip this out to center. Better than 6.5 minutes in, no score here at Madison Square Garden. Picked up at center by the Rangers and played back to Dan Girardi. Banked off the backboard, sloppy pass deep in the Rangers zone. Jagr on the forecheck. McDonough got knocked down. Rangers play this ahead to the ex-Columbus Blue Jacket, Derek Dorsett, and picked up here by Peter Harrell. Kicked at center ice. Zubris trying to get it to Jaromir Jagr, taken away by the Rangers. That pass for Benoit Pouliot. He can't control. Travis Zajac takes a bump at center, and it's sent back in by New York. Andy Green takes the check from Pouliot. Harold keeps the puck moving, gives here to Jágr. Pass intercepted at center ice. That's Zuccarello who got a stick on it. Here's Pouliot the other way. Soft backhander. Saved by Brodeur. The follow-up try, and Brodeur denies that too. Shoveled ahead by Jágr. Zubris delivers a check. In the midst of a change, a check that Matthias Tedenby on the forecheck for New Jersey. And now Zuccarello has this for New York. Glove by Brodeur, and he holds on.
Well, you know, Zajac, Travis, pounded one home the last game, and it was a big one in many ways. It was his 100th career goal, which is a nice mark to hit, but also big confidence builder. Remember this, Steve. This is why I like Jágr and him playing together. Jágr's playing the right side. Jágr's a great passer. Now, if Travis sets up like he did on that goal, he's a right-handed shot. He can one-time a lot of those passes from Jágr, so I hope that for their sake, they're onto something, and it sure looked good the other night against Nashville.
Produced results big for Travis Zajac, getting his second of the year. Another candidate to play on that top line is Patrik Elias. He is out once again, missed for the 6th consecutive time due to back spasms. No word on a possible return yet of Patrik Elias. Devils hope to have their all-time scoring leader back shortly. Pass at center in the direction of Chris Kreider, knocked away by New Jersey, picked up there by Henrique. He gives to Bruner, a little toe drag move. It goes to Lundqvist, who covers up.
Tonight's Cold Hard Facts are brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. We're just going to give you an overall ranking of some of the statistics that the Devils have acquired so far. Obviously, goals for, that's not so good, but then you get the goals against, the shots, shots allowed. It's all looking good there, Steve. And, you know, of course, as Jágr said, you got to score some goals.
Shot by Gelinas, initial try blocked, and he plays this back. Adam Larsson, back to Gelinas. Tees up the big shot, and that's blocked away. Ranger without a stick. Loose along the near boards, and now Brandon Mashinter will skate this away for New York. It's JT Miller who goes to the bench, and he'll stay there. He's the Ranger who had his stick broken on the block shot. To the right of Brodeur. 3 Devils bunch up and taken here by Gelinas. Callahan able to funnel this right back in, and now Adam Larsson collects for New Jersey. Happy 21st birthday to that man in his 3rd National Hockey League season, Adam Larsson. Josephson plays this back, and Larsson sends it to center. Ryan Carter patiently plays it back for Gelinas. Rangers get a forecheck going, and a big hit by the captain, Callahan. Trying to return the favor was Larsson, and taken here by Jacob Josephson instead.
Well, Alain Vigneault for the Rangers has a last change. I've noticed this a couple times. He's trying to get the Ranger big line with Richards, Callahan, and Hagelin out against that young duo, but so far they've held up well.
Picked up here, Carl Hagelin dropped it back. The blind pass got by everybody, and the puck pushed out to center. Fans want a penalty called. Will they get one?
Yeah, they did, Steve. Jaromir Jágr trying to dig in for the puck. Knocks down a Ranger. When you see it, it'll be pretty clear, so the Devils go on the penalty kill. Well, Adam Larsson doesn't have a driver's license, so he doesn't know about car accidents, but here, he cannot get out of the way. That was inevitable, and he got drilled by Callahan. And then you see Jágr reaching in for the puck, holds the stick strongly on the ice. You know, Pete DeBoer likes to use the term heavy stick, heavy player. That's a heavy stick where that stick didn't move, and down went Richards. So with a big hit, now a chance on the power play. The Rangers have their best opportunity of this first period to grab some momentum.
Look at that shutout streak by Martin Brodeur. 175 and counting off the faceoff taken here by the Devils. Devils penalty kill ranked 6th in the National Hockey League coming into tonight. And the Ranger power play has been better. Brad Richards says it feels like a power play as opposed to last year when they were ranked 23rd.
How about 25% the last 7 games? I would say that's pretty darn good. But the Devils penalty killing has, as Marty Brodeur mentioned it, you know, Steve, as good as he's seen it this season right now. So this is quite a matchup.
Rangers play it across. Here's Richards on the first wave for New York. Dumps in deep. Andy Green back to give chase. Winds it around. Henrique gets a stick on this. Plays it ahead for Lockdiana. There's a 3-on-2 shorthanded if the Devils want it. Now Lockdiana puts the brakes on. Quick shot is sticked aside by Lundqvist.
Lockdiana and Josephson, third liners getting a chance to get some extra ice time, and they're making the most of it.
Here's Kreider, the Boston College man. Maneuvers into the double zone, poked away by Andy Green. Loose in the corner, Volchenkov delivers a hit. This comes back towards the point. John Moore with a shot. Blocked off a skate in front. That's Green with the block. Devils can't clear the zone, though. Well, now Ryan Carter does on a second try and sends it the length of the ice.
So, nice little play by Josephson. Those are the things that the coaches are watching for. Getting a chance to be on the defensive side of the puck, and what a nice little dish he made there to help clear the zone.
Played back.
Sorry, Steve, he didn't get the puck away. He didn't just whack it off the boards. He took a second, found Ryan Carter, and that'll get him additional ice time.
Just 20 seconds remaining in the Rangers power play. Uneventful to this point as Hagelin dumps into the corner. Marek Zidlitsky back to collect. Tries to shovel one for Dinas Zubris. Played it across, nearly gave the puck away. Ranger lurking in the slot. That was Hagelin. Plays it behind the net. Del Zotto takes this at the point. Plays it across. Big drive. Another block that went off Zidlitsky. Penalty time is up. Yager's out of the box. Rangers have the puck though. Soft shot blocked away in front, and Zajac there to gobble it up. Here's Yager. Got by one man. Now Del Zotto back. Couldn't pull the trigger on an effective shot and taken away. Adam Larson dumps right back in. Lundqvist gave it right to Yager. Played it in front, shot by Ryder, the glove save made by Henrik Lundqvist.
Well, sometimes the goalie's just got to clean up his own mess. And, you know, I love Henrik Lundqvist when it comes to stopping the puck. His puck handling, not so sure about. Here you see Yarmer gets his stick slapped right there as he tries to hit it, shoot it, so it's not even a shot on goal, but it's, oh, there's the end of it. It was actually the clear by Lundqvist, though, that got him in trouble, Steve, and I think really in those situations, if I'm Henrik, and I love Henrik in so many ways, I think I get the whistle.
Not the guy you want to give it away to either.
No.
Here's Dorsett, puck knocked off his stick. Loose along the near boards, Brian Boyle battling for this. Henrique tried to find the handle. Now Pouliot delivers a check for the Rangers. Punched across to the stick of Damian Brunner. Poked away from him by Strallman. Under 7 minutes to go in the opening period. No score at Madison Square Garden. Mark Stahl, good news for the Rangers. He's played in every game so far this season after missing so much of last year with the serious eye injury. Into the Devils zone, and icing is the call. Let's go downstairs. Deb Placey. Deb.
Ken Daneyko was in Toronto last night for the Hockey Hall of Fame induction ceremonies, but he is back and with us on the GMC Intermission Report. So stay with us for that. As soon as this first period ends, we'll have a guest outside the Devil dressing room, and we'll get Kenny's take on the first period, guys.
Thank you, Deb. Brendan Shanahan, Scott Niedermayer, the 7th and 8th players ever to wear a Devils sweater for at least part of their career, inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame last night. Powerful speech by Brendan Shanahan. Taken away here by the Rangers. Zuccarello stop. Another try, and Brodeur makes the big save. And this puck is in the net. It will not count.
Anton Volchenkov is hurt on this play. It seemed like a simple play down the wall. And poor Anton, I don't know if he lost his footing and then had a dive. As I'm watching, I'm thinking he's diving awfully early, but he may have tweaked something before, and he just wanted to help out any way he could, and he tried to sweep the puck, missed it, and now he's still down on the ice. Maybe we'll see it here. Look at here. Maybe he got kicked. The hot stick of Zuccarello takes it to the net, but a hotter stick, the one of Marty Brodeur, makes the poke check and then gets the paddle down on the ice. And there's Travis Zajac in the crease, acting like a defenseman and helping Marty with this rebound chance. And Marty just getting those legs together, and Anton leaving. I don't know if we get a look later. I don't know if he got kicked with the skate, you know, as he went down to the ice, or just what happened. But I think it did happen. in the midst of the play, not before.
He had been playing well in recent games, Anton Volchenkov. As Kenny Danico pointed to in the pregame, he had a wonderful night against Nashville. So the Devils with 5 defensemen now in the early stages of this game. Tedenby can't get it out of the zone. Picked up here by the Rangers and played behind the net. Centering try, deflected off New Jersey and picked up here by Bernier. And off to the races goes Matthias Tedenby. He dumps in and gives chase. Got between Delzato and John Moore. Gets the pass from Lokdianov. Bernier on the forecheck, taken here by Peter Harold. He'll send it in deep. Bernier steered one toward Tedenby, collected here. Lokdianov takes a bump from Delzato, keeps going. Now tries to turn around and send it towards goal, and instead taken by Callahan. Top line on for the Rangers here. Hagelin dumps in. He's with Richards and Callahan for New York. Andy Green given away to the stick of Stralman, and right back to Green, who gloves it down with under 5.5 to go in the opening period. Steered into the Rangers' end. Bruner. Stralman takes this deep in his own zone, plays it off the near boards, taken away by Adam Henrique. Knocked down, and a penalty is called against the Rangers. It's a trip.
Might have been a good one too, Steve. Devils might have had a break with. Rangers didn't take this. That's Anton Volchenkov. You tell us now, watch, is he laboring as he hustles back into his own end? Right now it's off face-off, he seems fine, but look at here. You see that? It looks almost like he had a slight tweak of a groin or a muscle, because he's not going at full clip, and that's, I think, why he dived, and he's left, and we'll try and get a report. We don't know what it is, but for the Devils, that's the bad news. The good news is they now go on the power play with Brian Boyle forced to take a penalty, Steve, or I think the Devils would have had a one on Lundqvist.
Power play was 1 for 4 in the game against Nashville. That was the goal on the slap shot by Marek Zidlitsky. Peter Harold, Andy Green, the point men to start the power play. Jaromir Jagr on with Damian Bruner and Travis Zajac. Steered into the zone by Bruner. Lundqvist can't handle it cleanly in the trapezoid. Played ahead, and Derek Stepan with the clear for New York.
Well, Devils a goal in each of their last 2 games. Out of that, Steve, they've got 3 out of 4 points. I mean, we've talked about it. It's just so obvious. Power play is such a big part of winning hockey games.
Drop back for Travis Zajac, under pressure on the far wall. Off the scramble, taken here by Green. Calmly played it to Jagr, and now the Devils try to set up. Here's Peter Harold for New Jersey. Gives to Jagr. Played here. Zajac tries to throw one across. Oh, a dangerous pop that went by Lundqvist and deflected wide. Another penalty coming up. This is a trip. And it's against New Jersey.
Yeah, Andy Green. You know, Travis Zajac wants to turn a little bit when he's taking this pass from Jagr so he can one-time it off the sideboards. Just a little thing I noticed. This is the end of the play here. Not much at all, really, but not going to argue about it. Yeah, I'm just looking, Steve, it was in Travis's skates as well, so. But I think if he starts to get in position to take the pass off Jagr's side of the ice, ready to one-time it, I think he could have 5 or 6 shots a night. Jaromir, I mean, is he good with seeing the ice and making passes? Wow.
Produced a goal together. That was the 4-0 goal in the last game by Zajac. Ryder punches this out to center, so it's 4-on-4 for the next 55 seconds, and then an abbreviated Ranger power play. Mark Stahl plays it across. John Moore punches this out to center, collected by Henrique, and plays it back for Zhelinov. Eric Zhelinov picks up Michael Ryder. Puts the brakes on, now gives here to Henrique. Played across, here's Zhelinov. Fakes the shot once, now fires. Save made by Lundqvist. Couldn't hold on, and the Rangers wind it around. Zidlitsky will get to this. Here's Marek Zidlitsky holding for New Jersey. Played in front for the cutting Lokdianov. That just missed. Checked by Zhelinov, picked up here by Riley. He ladles one into the corner. Lokdianov giving chase here. 8 seconds to go, and the penalty to Boyle, and then the Ranger power play will begin. Dorsett plays this across. Penalty time is up. Boyle out of the box. 53 seconds of a Ranger man advantage, and it starts with the puck being played down to the stick of Ryan McDonough. Brad Richards over the Devils line. Drops it back to the point. Here's McDonough. Able to play this across. Now the Devils on the penalty kill. Shot by McDonough. Blocked away in front. Zubras played it. Short-handed. Henrique will send it the length of the ice.
Adam Larsson's got to lead the Devils in this first period of block shots. Another dandy. His positioning outstanding.
Delzato plays this across. Rangers quickly gain the zone. Derek Stepan tries to throw one in front. Now Callahan works it back to the point. Michael Delzato played down low. This is Richards. Back to Delzato. Richards at the circle. Walks in. Plays it across. Brodeur. And knocked out of the zone by Jacob Josephson. Penalty time is up. The team's back to 5-on-5. No shots in the abbreviated power play for New York. Picked up here by Hagelin, and the Rangers are offside.
Boy, Brad Richards is a terrific passer, but he missed on that one. And here you see Jelena. He's tapping his stick. This tells me a lot. Now then he saw that somebody else was calling for it, so he delayed, Steve. But he didn't panic. He just walked in another 10 feet and then let it rip. Now that pass, the end that we're seeing here, if Richard had laid it over to, I don't know who the Ranger was, it would have been a one-timer in the net, but it was in his feet. By then Marty was able to jump around. But Jelena, Steve, what I like is he wants the puck. I want to be in the spotlight. I know who I am. I know I've got a big shot. I know I can help out offensively. Give me the puck, and I'll either shoot it on net or I'll look for an option. But he doesn't have like tunnel vision, which a lot of shooters from the point might have and do, but not him.
Like the choice a moment ago, too. He knew he had more time and space and inched forward for a better opportunity to beat Lundqvist. Green can't clear the zone. Held in here by the Rangers and dumped back into the corner. Taken here by Green to stick of Yager. Minute and a half to go in the opening period. Dinah Zubras, and the Devils are offside. Ryan McDonough is having a great year for the Rangers defensively and offensively as well. Look at that contribution. He has a point in all 9 Ranger victories this season. He is considered a virtual lock for the U.S. Olympic team that'll compete in Russia in February.
And he may be a lock in the best trade that Glenn Sather's ever made. You know, Scotty Gomez for McDonough and getting rid of Scotty's contract, which was probably more than Scott may have deserved at the time, and it was starting to affect how the fans looked at him here in New York. Scott Gomez I'm talking about. But to not only get rid of that, but get Ryan McDonough, my goodness.
Scott and Florida Panthers are having a tough time. Gomez has been injured actually for the last few games as well. Off the draw, controlled by the Rangers.
Ryan McDonough, number 1 defenseman for the Rangers right now, would you say? He's your number 1 guy?
I don't think it's debatable right now.
Okay, I agree.
Mark Stahl, at one time an All-Star in 2011. Dan Girardi was an All-Star in 2012. It's McDonough who seems to have eclipsed both, at least for now.
Yeah.
Taken here by Lundqvist and leaves behind his cage. Stralman plays this ahead. J.T. Miller on the move for New York. Plays this across, taken here. Derek Brassard puts the brakes on and looks for space. Here's Brassard at the circle, walks in and shoots. Brodeur with the save through traffic and swept away by Larsson.
Penalty coming to Larsson. He's battling for that puck. And we'll take a look at it. You know, Marty makes a good save from the point. I mean, the Devils are just hoping that some Ranger comes in and takes 2 minutes as well and evens this out. But Marty Brodeur makes a good save. Puck bounces around. It's going to go into the corner. And Adam gets the puck from Henrique, but he's under pressure. It gets away from him, and then when he tries to reach to hook the player stick of the Ranger, whoever got it, you'll see it here. Here's the first one. Now it's going to bounce loose. Now 5 to your left, and Adam Henrique's going to take it right there. They chip it in, still no penalty. And it's after it goes up the board right there. Adam trying to dig in and get the shaft of the stick. Misses. Gets the face of the Ranger, and he sits now with less than a minute to go.
So 29.1 remaining in the first period. Zajac will take the draw as the Devils penalty kill unit goes to work again, and quickly hammered into the Ranger zone where Lundqvist will leave this for Brad Richards. Time for a final rush here in the first period for New York. Richards plays this across. Stepan able to pick up Zuccarello, and Marty Brodeur got a glove on that. Collected here by Stepan. Work back to the point. Shot from the point. Save made by Brodeur, and it triples into the corner and hammered away by Andy Green as the first period comes to an end.
Well, Marty happy, I think, with that period. The fact that he didn't have a puck go behind him. Devils started well, Steve, but then with some penalty problems, I thought the Rangers won the last 5 minutes.
No score after one. Single game tickets are now available at NewJerseyDevils.com. Find specially priced offers and purchase exact seat locations with the interactive seating map. Don't miss your chance to see Jersey's team take on the Rangers, Flyers, and Penguins, as well as big showdowns against the Cup champion Blackhawks, Bruins, Kings, and more. Limited tickets remain. Log on now to secure your seats. Shots on goal after 1, 9 for the Rangers, 7 for New Jersey. Jaromir Jagr in his post-game interview with Deb Sunday said it's not about numbers. They are incredible. 686 in the NHL. That's 10th all time. Let's factor in for fun the 66 he scored for Omsk in the 3 years he played in the KHL. He scored 25 over 2 years with Kladno. That makes it 779 goals as a professional player. If you think Jagr could have had that many exclusively in the NHL if he only played here, only Wayne Gretzky and Gordie Howe would have more in the NHL at this point. But continuing to rewrite a lot of record books is Jaromir Jagr. Let's go downstairs. Deb Lacey is with Peter Harold.
Well, he plays in every situation, penalty kill, power play, even strength, so it's a good bet. He's right off the ice because he plays in so many situations. Peter Harold is our guest. You've been in a few of these Ranger Devil games now. What do you think of the first 20 minutes of this one?
I think it's what we expected. We knew they were going to come out hard. I mean, this is a different team than we saw a few weeks ago, and they like to play fast, and we're just trying to match their speed.
I want to ask you a question about Marty Brodeur because you've been his teammate now for 3 years. Is there something about him that you know now, having played with him for a while, that maybe you didn't know about him before?
I think it's difficult to appreciate how well he plays the puck and how valuable that is for a defenseman. I mean, you can see it on TV, but when you play with him, you start to realize how much easier he makes your life breaking out of your own zone.
So coming back on the ice now to start the second period, penalty kill. What's been the strength of the penalty kill the last couple games?
I think we're just trying to limit shots from the inside, keep it on the outside, and just be aggressive. I mean, I think we take time and space away from good players. It's more difficult for them to make plays.
All right. Well, the Devils will have another minute 30 or so of penalty kill time when they come back in the second. Our thanks to Peter Harold. It's a scoreless game. Nothing new for Marty Brodeur. He's working on 2 shutouts plus. It's the GMC Intermission Report. Ken Danico will join us coming up.
Friday night, MSG Plus, the Devils take on the Kings. Live coverage gets underway at 6:30 with Visa Devils Game Night. Devils-Kings first meeting since the Stanley Cup Finals in the spring of 2012. Friday night on MSG Plus. Big news and a bad break for the Tampa Bay Lightning. The National Hockey League losing one of its biggest stars. We're not sure if it's for the remainder of the season. It could be. Surgery today for Steven Stamkos on a broken right leg. He's out indefinitely, sharing the NHL scoring lead at the time of his injury with 23 points. Tampa Bay bolted to first place in the Atlantic Division, 1 point lead. And losing Stamkos for the rest of the season, that's a big hit for Tampa and probably the Canadian Olympic team.
Well, if you got a strong stomach, you can watch this play. There's Steven, and his lower leg hits the post, and it whiplashes here. You can see how far it bent back. And, I mean, it wasn't just the immediate pain, Steve, but he was in pain for a long time. Even when they took him off the ice, he was still grabbing his head. So you know it was severe. I don't know if Kenny Danico talked about it. Kenny had broken his leg, and I asked Kenny, and he said, oh, yeah, it's a nasty one. And this is the big bone, the real weight-bearing bone on the lower part of the leg. So that also makes it a little bit longer than it normally would be.
The second period begins with Adam Larson continuing in the penalty box. Still a minute and a half of Rangers power play time and the fresh sheet of ice as they start the rush here with Mark Stahl playing it across to Derek Stepan, who fires in. Another perfect period for Martin Brodeur. Nothing but for the last 7. Peter Harrell tracks this down in the corner, and on the kill, he sends it the length of the ice. Picked up by the Rangers, and darting out to center, Derek Stepan plays it across. Matt Zuccarello fires in. Confidence in Zuccarello. First wave of the power play for him. And the Norwegian back to the point. Rangers play it across. Here's Brad Richards, throws one in front, blocked away, and it comes out to center.
Andy Green playing a lot of minutes for the Devils right now. Steps up and makes a big block, and he'll play even more, Steve, with Volchenkov out of the lineup. He's going to be one of the go-to guys in most of the specialty situations, especially killing the penalty.
Anton did not come out and join the Devils on the bench. When we know more about the extent of his injury, we'll pass that along to you. Brodeur into the corner. Marek Zidlitsky nearly gave it away, and did. Rangers wind this around, and picking it up at the point is John Moore. Able to play this across. Delzato shoots, saved by Brodeur, and he holds on.
And look at that, no rebound. Rangers, 3 guys driving the net. Anything, even if it pops up in the air, they were ready to whack at it like a hitter in baseball. And this is a good shot. Look at that thing flipping end over end. And Marty, it hits the cuff of his glove and then down into the mitt, and he hangs on. That was a great super slow look, Steve.
Final seconds of the Ranger power play, thrown in front. Kreider tried to lay this off, comes back. Moore with a shot, and that went wide. Penalty time is up. Larsson's out of the box. 3 shots on the Rangers power play, but we remain scoreless. Delzato back to collect this for New York. Winds it around. Jaromir Jagr trying to take for New Jersey, and now kicked out at center by the Rangers, and it comes back here to Adam Larsson. Backed in front of the Ranger bench and poked here to the stick of Jaromir Jagr. Devils' leading scorer so far this season is the man 41 years of age. This is icing.
Well, this game is 0-0. Shouldn't be any surprise. Both teams playing well defensively. But how about these 2 guys facing each other once again? But look at their stats, Steve. They're both 4-1 in their last 5. Look at those save percentages, those goals against. Now, Lundqvist does lead 24-7-5, but that's just in regulation. Marty's had some real good success in the playoffs. But, you know, we don't know how long this rivalry between these 2 goalies, never mind everybody else, will go on.
Here's Travis Zajac throwing one in front, and that just got by the cutting Eric Jelinek.
But I think it's a bonus every time these 2 goalies face each other.
Just don't know what the future holds, too, as Zajac pulls the trigger, and that's off the mark. Marty Brodeur, for all we know, could be his last appearance at Madison Square Garden. Just depends how things shake out, and no guarantee that this is his last season either. Shot by Boyle is gloved by the aforementioned Brodeur.
Well, you know, Andy Green's the type of player you kind of take for granted, and you think, oh, if he just did a little more offensively, and yeah, even Andy would like to. But let's not forget the amount of ice time he's logging, almost 25 minutes, and we showed how well the Devils have done in terms of not allowing shots and goals. He's one of the big reasons, because Steve, not only does he block shots and play well defensively, when he gets the puck on his stick, he makes good outlet plays to clear the zone and get the rush going the other way.
Goal and 4 assists for Andy this year, and again, just going back to that last game against Nashville, 5 points from the Devils' blue line, and Green was part of that. Devils team that's had difficulty scoring in the early stages. Team that really bolstered its confidence on Sunday. Nashville is on Long Island tonight. One of the several games affecting teams in the Metropolitan Division. This comes back towards the point. Quick shot, saved by Stahl. Brodeur reaches out and picks it out of midair.
Oh, that was like, who was it? The Cincinnati Bengals won a football game on Sunday where the ball popped up. Marty Brodeur's got to make this save and then look for it in the air, because this would have dropped over his shoulder into the net. Devils now are getting in a rut here, Steve. They've had 7 shots on goal, but the puck has been in their end a lot of time lately. And here Brodeur, you see him up here. Watch how he's going to step out and make a big save.
Marty makes another off the shot from the far side. Centering try by the Rangers. Kettenby, this is batted and deflected out of play. The faceoff will come. Let's see.
Inside off Marty Brodeur's helmet or shoulder. But Brodeur on his feet, Steve, like, you've done enough soccer to know this. He really played that shot like a soccer goalie. And you watch him here. He doesn't go down. He's up. He's coming high. Boom, off the top of his head and hit the netting behind.
He's scored a few and not likely to score that way, which is customary in the sport that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
Punched out towards center and collected here by the Rangers, fired right back in by Moore. Opening minutes of period 2. Two teams playing well defensively coming in. No surprise, perhaps, that it's where we are at this point in the game. Comes out to center, Ryan Carter. Tried the blind pass in the direction of Jacob Josephson, taken away, and Stepan sees that try, sticked aside by Brodeur. Michael Delzato keeps it in the zone. Puck comes out in front, collected here by Cam Jansen, who plays it ahead. Picked up here by Josephson. Carter on the forecheck. Josephson back to his skates, and the puck to his stick. Here's Carter, takes a bump from Moore. Ryan Carter goes backhand to forehand. Still maneuvering with the puck. Now dishes off and gives here to Josephson. Good forecheck by the Devils' fourth line. Jansen heads to the bench. The Devils begin the change, and the Rangers still trying to clear the zone. Zuccarello couldn't do so initially, and now it comes out to center. Devils lost both meetings between the teams in this building last year, including the regular season finale. Bernier with a centering try, deflected in front, and Lundqvist got a piece of that. Back the other way come the Rangers. Benoit Pouliot, head of steam, takes a check from Peter Harrell. Picked up here. Strawman tried to throw one in front, and with Dorsett at the doorstep, the puck deflects out of play.
Andy Green got a stick in there. Long time between shots by the New Jersey Devils, maybe 10, 12, 15 minutes. But here you see Bernier throwing it into the crease. Lockyanov does get it on goal. There you see the right pad of Lundqvist stopping the puck, but overrunning the rebound was Mattias Tenby, where that time his speed was just too quick. So the Devils want to start to establish some offense, Steve. They've been on their heels in the last 15 minutes of this hockey game, and that's a dangerous way to play.
Off the draw, controlled here by Zidlitsky, and he gives to Dinas Zubras. Sent in deep, Travis Zajac. Checked by Dan Girardi. It comes loose here. Jaromir Jagr, who had 3.5 wonderful seasons as a New York Ranger, including the record-breaking year in which he broke Adam Graves' record for goals in a single season with 54. Taken here by Zidlitsky. Looks for space, now fires, and it's held by Henrik Lundqvist. Let's go downstairs. Deb Placey has an update for us.
Thanks, Steve. And just like they were in Minnesota, the Devils tonight will be down a defenseman for the rest of the night. Anton Velchenkov will not return. They're calling it a lower body injury. Leaving in the first period, he will not be back, guys.
Well, thanks, Deb. It was either a groin or something in the core of his stomach, because he really labored to get back off that play. And of course, we may never find out, but not good news for New Jersey or Anton, who's really starting to play some of his best hockey of the season.
And so important on the penalty kill has Anton Velchenkov been. Devils with one of the top units in the league. Scoreless game here. Damian Brunner takes the loose puck at center, fires, that goes wide of Lundqvist's cage. Picked up by the Rangers. Dorsett plays this across. That pass got by Boyle. Comes back towards the Devils' end where Peter Harrell tries to punch it ahead. Pouliot able to hold the zone. Now Jelena there to help. Going to see different defense combinations for the Devils now with Velchenkov out. Jelena and Harold each head to the bench. Picked up here. Ryder with a shot. And Henrik Lundqvist has the puck somewhere.
Leave it to Ryder. He's invisible for periods of time, and then he gets that puck. Almost buried that one. I thought it was. Michael Ryder's going to slide into that spot. He got a weird goal in Toronto, and he almost gets another one. Look at how quickly he gets this away. And Lundqvist isn't sure where it is. It goes through Boyle's legs. Now the puck is, as you can see, off the ice. It ends up under the pad. I think that hit the post, because there's the puck down there. You can see it under his pad, Steve. And as I watched that, it looked like it went between his blocker and his pad. But that's Michael Ryder. Teams have loved to have on their team over the years. He's a sniper.
Lundqvist is playing well after a shaky start to this season. He didn't look sharp at all, if you remember that 4-0 win by the Devils early in the year. rebounded in the last 8. His record 5-3, a 1.64 goals against average in that span.
But remember, we talked, he was injured. He didn't look himself. He wasn't moving well.
Andy Green controls, plays it across. Carter, nice move, cuts in front. They score! Ryan Carter with a beautiful move. And the Devils take the lead in the second period.
Well, you know, you made a point of joking about, well, hey, Vigneault, they better put a strong checking line on this fourth group. Look at the forecheck there. What a play by Andy Green to go airborne. Then he avoids the trip. And Ryan Carter had a great game against Nashville, and he's going to get the goal, and he deserves this. Honestly, I haven't seen Ryan make some of these moves. He faked the shot. He's throwing it into the crease for a pass, but it hits a Ranger skate. Here you're going to see it. Watch the skates here. There it is, off the skate, but Steve, it was in the slot where Ryan Carter faked the shot. Now, normally in past situations, he would have just said, I got to get a shot on goal. But there he faked, put the defenseman down, and made a great play at the edge of the crease.
I don't believe Andy Green touched the puck before it went over. Should be Ryan Carter's goal.
What an assist by Andy Green.
Picked up here by Zuccarello. Rangers, so good when they score the first goal, have surrendered the first one here, but they tie the game on a quick slap shot. Mark Stahl with a blast, and Brodeur has finally conceded one.
It's kind of funny. Both goalies been so hot. One gives up a goal, and then within a few seconds later, there's another one at the other end. Jelinek keeping the Ranger to the outside, just misses that sweep check there. Keeps battling. And this point shot short side. I don't know if if Marty comes too much off. Oh yeah, he's off his position there. I don't know if he didn't see it, Steve, but he went way too far to the middle of the net, and Mark Stahl had a big gaping short side hole to shoot at and hit it.
The goals come 32 seconds apart. And we're back to where we started. Garden crowd now starts to get into this. Taken here in the corner, Travis Zajac comes away with the loose puck and plays this to the stick of Dainis Zubris. We'll tally the Brodeur shutout streak and the final number on it in just a moment. Here's Zajac trying to play it across. He does. Yager's shot and the save made by Lundqvist. Loose at the side of the net. And now Henrik covers up.
Boy, this line's becoming dynamic, Steve. You just get scored on. The next shift you want to be a big one. You want some offense coming out of it. And I got to tell you, Zajac and Yager could really work some magic. Watch, he's tapping his stick here. Yarmer says, give me that puck. And Travis has to make a seeing eye pass through small area of passing lanes. But Lundqvist, he didn't overplay it. He didn't come off that far post as quickly as Yager would have liked, and that's why he was able to make that save.
Face off to the left of Henrik Lundqvist. Adam Henrique steps in against big Brian Boyle, and it's won back by New York. Mark Stahl's second goal of the season. And his 100th career point. The fans acknowledging that as Peter Harold goes back to collect this for New Jersey. Here's Marek Zidlitsky. Lays it across, picks up Bruner. Damian Bruner able to split two defenders and now gives chase. Hammered at behind the Ranger net. Deflects towards the point. Peter Harold quickly gloved down by Damian Bruner and collected here by Pouliot. Play gets sloppy in the neutral zone. Harold can't find the handle, and the Devils content to just shovel it out to center. Full change for New Jersey. 8 minutes in to period 2. It's a 1-1 game. Carter and Stahl exchange the goals. Played in front. Big stop by Brodeur on the cutting Chris Kreider off a feed from Derek Stepan. Crashing into the zone is Carter again. Devils go back to the fourth liners here to respond. Quickly played ahead. Things starting to open up. Here's Zuccarello. Whisks it across at the side of goal. Stepan with a backhander that would not go. Now Kreider has this for the Rangers. Gives to Stepan. His shot saved by Brodeur. Reaches out and covers up.
Well, some brilliant goaltending here by Marty Brodeur. Now Kreider's going to make an unbelievable play here, Steve, because after he gets this pass, watch like he's going to make it look like he's going to deke. But that puck just flipped up on him. See, I thought he was going to take it across here, but then he realized that thing is not coming with me, so he just throws it back, and Marty Brodeur, with his patience, didn't come off that post any too quickly, and there you see where his shutout streak was snapped at. In 8 minutes short of what, 200?
Incredible stretch by Brodeur, and he's been good tonight, conceding one. He stopped 18 of the Rangers' 19 shots on the night.
Well, that's why I said at the top of the show, Steve, when I saw the comments early in the season where Marty said, well, you know, Corey Schneider's going to play, and some people believed it, I said, come on, you guys, you really think Marty's just going to say, okay, I'm back up now? I mean, he didn't mean it. He said it because I don't know if he was just playing around with the media, but I thought there's no way that he's going to be satisfied. His game right now is as good as it was last year, and Corey Schneider's, I'm going to tell you, Corey Schneider's going to get a lot of wins here. Don't count him out either. Devils just have to score a few more goals when he's between the pipes.
Brodeur traditionally gets better as the year goes on. On the Devils' goal, the lone assist is going to Andy Green. He now has assists in 3 straight games. Loose along the near board. Stralman played it towards the net. Picked up here by Callahan. Ranger captain plays it. Richards tries to pull the trigger. Instead, comes to Steve Bernier. Devils try to get it out of the zone, but it's taken away by New York. Now Bernier battling back. Got the puck away from Carl Hagelin. Shot from the point. That's blocked away by Brodeur.
20th shot of the game. 3 dandies here in the last few minutes by Brodeur.
Game opening up now here in period 2 as Jelena fires into the Rangers zone. Goes around the ledge quickly here to the stick of Zajac. Tries to throw one in front. Travis able to recover, but the pass back to the point intercepted. Brad Richards able to collect in the Devil zone and fires in. Hops over the stick of Brodeur in the trapezoid. Hammered ahead by Green in the direction of Zubris and played across. Here's Ryan McDonough. We're midway through the second period, midway through regulation time. 1-1 here at MSG. Jágr gets it back at center from Zubris. Jaromir Jágr plays it across. Dinah Zubris sends it in deep. Here's Jágr, draws the attention of 2 Rangers. Worked into the slot, trying to one-time that was Dinah Zubris, and he couldn't get the shot away. Picked up by Zajac in the corner. Travis comes out with it, leaves here for Jágr. Back to Travis, tried the one-timer, and sent away by Dorsett. Full change for the Devils in period 2. Here's Adam Henrique sending Ryder on his way. Henrique ran into Brassard. Taken here, Bruner with a shot, and it's stopped by Henrik Lundqvist.
This Henrique line has got some jump here in the second, and they need to be the offensive leaders right now.
Michael Ryder part of that unit, and this puck deflects away. A stoppage in play with 9:02 to go in period 2. It's 1-1 at the Garden. Tonight's trivia question is brought to you by Cadillac. Martin Brodeur is the active leader in shutouts versus the Rangers with 9. Who is the all-time leader? We're moving at a lightning pace here, so guess quickly, Chico.
Well, Steve, you said let's go old school, so I'm going to say Jacques Plante. The Canadians dominated the Rangers in the 50s and early 60s. And you?
I'm just going to go back to original 6 as well because of the multiple times they played. I'll say a guy who finished his career with the Rangers, Terry Sawchuk.
Oh, Cans, you are rolling. You are good. Of course, he shut out a lot of teams. But yeah, for Marty Brodeur with only 9, that's kind of low, you know, when you think of how many times he's played the Rangers. But
12 times Marty has shut out the Philadelphia Flyers, including the last time he faced them.
Well, he's nearing the 100-game mark against these Rangers in his career, and he's been outstanding. 21-13. The Rangers really, Steve, have kind of taken over the game, except for a few little spurts by the Devils. One thing the Devils should try and do, and I know they are, is just a little quicker on the breakouts, and when there's not a play, dump it out. Don't let the Rangers turn those pucks over. Keep that momentum going.
Played back to the point. A shot by Stahl goes wide. Stralman picks this up, and that's blocked away again by Adam Larson, who's been good in that respect. Centering try by the Rangers. Brodeur gets rid of that to the stick of Michael Ryder.
Now it's a good play by Michael, except no icing. Nice chip shot by Ryder.
Puck it across the line, taken here by Stahl, who skates this away. Mark Stahl is in. He's the Rangers' goal scorer tonight. Got by the stick of Brian Boyle. Adam Larson deep in his own zone. Marty Brodeur sees that as trouble at the side of the net, and now we get the whistle. New York Rangers had a wonderful defensive streak of their own going. 9 consecutive games allowing 2 goals or less. That was snapped finally Sunday against the Florida Panthers. You have to go all the way back to 1971 when Emile Francis coached and Ed Giacomin was New York's #1 to find a longer stretch of that kind. They did it for a dozen games that season. Devils strong defensively as well. Redirected in front, and Brodeur sees Zuccarello come crashing in as this goes back to the point. Girardi's shot blocked away and picked up here by Jagr. Funneled ahead to the stick of Travis Zajac. Jagr sees it knocked away. Andy Green says, "I've got it." Throws one towards goal. Taken here by Dina Zubris. Zajac trying to control along the near boards. Puck jarred loose. Jagr trying to get a stick on it. Chris Kreider comes in to try to take it away for New York, and it comes here for Zuccarello. Played across. Derek Stepan, 4th-year Rangers center, throws one in front, deflected away at the side of goal, and now Zubris has it for New Jersey.
Nice little battle going on right side of Marty Brodeur. Sedlitsky, he's into this game physically. Can't see who's got that bear. Zuccarello. Zuccarello is, I mean, he's playing well, Steve. He's putting some points up. Boy, what a different player he has become. He's got a goal, 7 assists, 8 points his last 7. So he's driving the net, saying, I want to pick up some more garbage. There he tumbles over Brodeur accidentally, I suppose, but it did happen in the crease. So I'm not sure that that couldn't have been an interference call.
Maybe he's just older and a better player. He came back from the KHL seeming more equipped for a man of his size.
Hey, that's early jabbing. There's no puck there. And he is jabbing at Brodeur. Great overhead there, guys. And that's what Pete DeBoer is saying. Like, if the puck's not in the goalie's feet, you can't jab at his feet and try and knock him off balance and push on his pad. I mean, again, Zuccarello, he's saying, hey, I'm going to see what I can get away with. And the fans are booing, and I wonder why.
It's 2 minutes each for roughing. They felt it should have been a Ranger power play. It's simply coincidental bias.
Okay. Well, they did not have the look that we saw.
So 4-on-4 for the next 2. Loktionov will take the draw to the left of Marty Brodeur against Brad Richards. Richards and Callahan, the forwards for New York. Loktionov is on with Michael Ryder, and Andrei Loktionov controls the puck off the face. 1-1 game under 7.5 minutes to go in the second period. Andy Green checked by Callahan. Gets it back from Adam Larson. Devils again playing a defenseman down. Anton Volchenkov will not return. Bill Placey got the injury report, lower body. Nearly given away. Richards tries to throw one in front. Callahan with a quick shot, and Brodeur got on that. It's still loose. Poke that in front, and Callahan will get this. Devils nearly pay the price for a giveaway, but now it's skated away by Loktionov.
Well, this is where the Devils aren't recognizing this game. We don't have control of this game now. Let's really play it safe. Let's weather the storm.
Michael Ryder tries to make his move around Stralman. Shot by Loktionov. Stopped by Lundqvist. Back to the point. Harold gives it up. Jelena uses the long reach. He's able to keep it in the zone. Peter Harold has it. Now back to Jelena. His shot is blocked away. Henrique trying to track this down. Working against Stralman, who's operating without a stick. Taken here by the Devils. Shot by Jagr. Held by Henrik Lundqvist.
Whoa, this is an exciting game right now. Both teams with great chances, great goaltending. You got the physical aspect of this hockey game, and here's the no-look backhand pass, but again, Brodeur, a big save off Callahan. He's also had the hot stick lately, a couple goals, couple assists. And look at Brad Richards. Boy, has he turned his career around, his season for sure, although can't really say he's turned the season around, Steve, because he started well, but he got 15 points already this season.
Off the draw, taken here by Jelena. Yager just out of the reach of Peter Harold. Now darts into New Jersey. Tries to control in the corner. Rangers can't hammer it out of the zone. Jelena kept it in momentarily, but now New York back the other way. It's 2-on-2. Stepan tries to throw it across, and the stop made by Brodeur. Brassard, his centering try is swept away by Henrique. Played across. Girardi will pick this up off the near board. Dan Girardi shoots. Saved by Brodeur. Back to the point. Taken here. Another try. McDonough. Brodeur reaching out with the left arm, and he's got it.
It's all Marty Brodeur building a fort in front of the Devils' net right now. It's mostly battling Brodeur right here. Here he stops Kreider on a blocker save. Here he gets knocked down by Zuccarello, who then tries to work him over. Now, this is what I was talking about. Watch this. Zuccarello knows the puck's not there. He keeps jabbing. Marty says, that's one too many. Take that, you little rugrat. And then it just keeps coming. Stepan with a save off a shot, and Brodeur with a save, and then Marty sprawling grabs that rebound. But give the Rangers credit. We're starting to see, Steve, the difference between what we saw in the first game and the way they've been playing recently. And it's only Marty Brodeur. What did you say? 25 shots he's faced, 24 he stopped. And this can't continue. Devils are losing face-offs cleanly. They're not making good plays out of their end. And they want to turn it around before this period comes to a close.
Brodeur's already faced 10 more shots than he faced in the entire game on Sunday against Nashville. Picked up in the corner by Zuccarello. It's a 15-save shutout for Brodeur against the Predators. Zuccarello able to work the puck free. In the corner, Zubris takes a check. Dinas Zubris trying to maneuver it out of the zone. Back to 5-on-5 now, as the coincidental roughing minors to Zidlitsky and Zuccarello come to an end. Here's Brodeur. Marek Zidlitsky plays this for Andy Green. Late second period of a 1-1 game as this goes all the way to Henrik Lundqvist. Andy Green along the near boards. Works this for New Jersey. Covering his point, Jacob Josephson. Puck jarred loose and now pops out to center. Zidlitsky is back to collect this for the Devils. They pick up Josephson at center ice. Jacob Josephson plays this across. Big shot by Bernier is blocked away. Puck hammered down, loose in front, and swept away by Pouliot. Got by Peter Harold covering the point. Harold back. He's paired now with Eric Jelena. Pete DeBoer and his staff mixing and matching the defensemen tonight after the loss of Volchenkov.
Well, I'm sure he said, Steve, we're just going to roll 5. Just be ready to go.
Alain Vigneault with big news prior to tonight's game. He announced that Rick Nash will return to practice tomorrow for the New York Rangers. They were a mess initially when he sustained a concussion in a 9-2 loss to San Jose. They have since rebounded to play much better hockey. Winners of 6 of their last 7 coming into tonight. Peter Harold tries to work it out of the zone. Del Zotto back for New York. No icing here as Ryan Carter goes on the forecheck. Brad Richards, the center for the Rangers, backhands one in. Brodeur comfortably plays it into the corner. Peter Harold sees it taken away. Try by Carl Hagelin is swept away by Jelena. And the Devils punch this out to center. Collected here by Damian Brunner. He's got Henrique with him. Brunner lost control. And a Devil came crashing into the net. The puck off the net off the mooring. And who is that down? It's Adam Henrique.
And there's a penalty against Hagelin, I think. Adam Henrique steams really from the neutral zone. Just a straight line at the net. And gets cut down, and Hagelin is heading to the sin bin. And I don't know, it looks like Adam may be cut. Obviously, he hit the net. That's laying in the back. Let's look right here. Well, you know, you're always afraid of these. Oh my goodness, Steve! We showed earlier Stamkos hitting the post, but Adam. The difference is Adam hit it higher up, just above the knee, where Stamkos hit it down in the thin part of the calf and snapped it, but Adam looks just fine, thank goodness.
No reason to go off. He'll head to the bench, so Henrique shakes that off. And the Devil power play as Hagelin for hooking is the call with 3:38 to go in the second period. Zajac taking the draw for New Jersey. Jágr gets knocked down. Ryan McDonough gives here to Girardi, who starts the penalty kill for the Rangers with a clear. Brodeur takes the direct route, gives to Jágr, and now sends Brunner on his way. Damian Brunner puts the brakes on, plays it across. Peter Harold gloves this down. He's got Dorsett right on him. Gets some help from Jágr, and it's worked here to the stick of Travis Zajac. Zajac back for Harold. Now the Devils set up. Peter Harold at the point, dishes off. Zajac down low. He's got Jágr. Jágr sends one in front, loose and swept away and clear.
What an escape by Jágr. He's trapped in the corner, no option to get the puck to the front of the net. Makes a beautiful toe drag and then lays it in the crease.
Brunner drops this off for Andy Green. Takes a tug from Zuccarello, now works it back to the point. Marek Zidlitsky holds for the Devils. Marek Zidlitsky fires, save made. That was fought off by Lundqvist. Work back towards the point, but it goes all the way back to Brodeur.
Don't know if it's by design, but the Devils are shooting a lot short side on the blocker. I would think it might be a good choice to start going a foot or two off the ice on the glove.
50 seconds to go, or rather 45 to go in the Devils power play. This puck pops up high. Michael Ryder under pressure from Stepan. The puck comes loose and it's taken here by Boyle. Short-handed, tries to get around Zidlitsky. Reinforcements come for the Devils, and here's Adam Henrique. No worse for the wear after be shaking up just a few moments ago. Gives here to Steve Bernier. Now Henrique able to play this across. He was looking for the cutting Ryder. And taken out to center by Adam Larsson.
Good job by Adam to protect that puck till his teammates were able to clear the zone.
Final seconds of the Devils power play, but it's poked loose by Callahan on the penalty kill. And collected here by Ryder. Penalty time is up. Hagelin out of the box. 2 shots for the Devils, but their power play 0 for 2 on the night. Quick shot Loktionov is saved by Lundqvist.
There was a shot on the glove side. Henrik seems to pop more of those out than he does on the blocker.
Here's Anton Stralman for New York. The goals here in period number 2. Carter and Stahl for New Jersey and then New York. 3 Rangers bunched up in the corner. They come away with the puck. Played back here. A quick shot blocked away by Dina Zubris.
And the stick broke.
A minute to go in period 2. Dan Girardi pinching in at the point for New York. Harold nicely plays the puck back to Adam Larsson.
Oh, good play by Adam Larsson. Didn't want to get the icing call and didn't.
Here's Carter. He scores! What a backhand by Ryan Carter. His second of the game.
Well, he's not going to let Cam Janssen get too far ahead of him. All right for the 4th line, although it isn't really the 4th line because Brunner and Loktionov's out there, but good for Ryan Carter. Stevie looks like a different player, and you talk about confidence, but here's the play there. See what Larsson did? He didn't rip it down, even though he was a man down because Zubris had lost his stick. Ryan sees that puck rolling, and he's going to throw it through the legs of Lundqvist. A beautiful shot. Just a nice scoring time, but give Adam Larsson tremendous amount of credit for the way he cleared the zone and allowed Ryan Carter to get to that puck.
There you see his 3rd career 2-goal game. And the Devils forward who wears number 20 with his first 2 of the NHL season. So the Devils with the lead for the 2nd time tonight. Half a minute to go in period 2. Hammered at by Zidlitsky. Loose along the near boards. Callahan battling for it with Brunner. Goes into the corner. Zidlitsky takes a bump from Callahan. Puck jarred loose. Andy Green tries to maneuver it ahead, and Brunner gets it out of the zone. Back to collect is Mark Stahl for the Rangers. Final seconds of the 2nd period. And the Devils, after this icing call and the final 2.5 seconds go by, will take a lead into the locker room.
Talk about weathering the storm and then taking advantage of your chances. Congratulations to Ryan Carter, who always gives a big effort. Now, let's remember, he scored a pretty big goal in here, as I remember, right in the playoffs.
That was the pivotal Game 5 of the series in 2012.
And you hear me talk about it a lot. We'll wait till this face-off. Teams and players have better feelings in some rinks against certain teams than others. And that seems to be the case with Ryan Carter.
All going against the Devils in the third period that night until Giunta made a superb play and Carter finished it, and the rest was history. The Devils would clinch the series the next game. 2 periods in the books, and the Devils with a 2-1 lead.
Well, Marty Brodeur is certainly the star of that period, Steve. He only gave up the 1 goal, but the Rangers had 6 really good chances. And then that man, Ryan Carter, dramatically scored one through the legs of Lundqvist late to give Brodeur and the Devils a lead that at least now they know that they can protect it and don't have to go out of their game to try and come back and win.
Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey return to Prudential Center as part of the Barnabas Health Family Series from March 13th to 16th with their new show Legends. Experience unimaginable family fun as amazing performers from around the globe perform awe-inspiring spectacles. Tickets go on sale this Friday at 10 a.m. Visit PruCenter.com for more information. Lexus brings us this look at the Devils' upcoming schedule. Back-to-back games at home, Friday and Saturday at the Rock. The Kings come in Friday at 7. The Penguins Saturday, each game on MSG+. And then the West Coast trip begins. Devils Wednesday, November 20th. We'll be live from Anaheim. A 10 o'clock start on MSG+. Shots on goal for the game, 25-21 in favor of the Rangers after 2 periods. New Jersey looking for its 6th victory of the season, collecting points, a possible 5 of their last 6, and looking to keep that momentum going since being shut out in back-to-back games prior to that. It's been a big night for Ryan Carter, and he's downstairs with Deb Placey.
Well, Ryan Carter had big goals against the Rangers in the playoffs a couple of years ago. What is it about playing the Rangers that brings out the best in you?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a rivalry game. Those are always fun, easy to get up for. So other than that, I don't know. Things just find a way to go in. But for that, I'm thankful.
Let's take a look at both of them. We'll start with the first one. And I guess, you know, you want to keep up with Cam Janssen.
Yeah. No, he's been playing well, and it starts with a good forecheck there. He takes the body on the guy, and that kind of opens it up for Greeny to stand up. And Greeny obviously makes a great play holding the blue line. And from there, I just got lucky putting it in.
And then how about the play by Adam Larson? He didn't want to take an icing there.
Yeah, no, that the second one was a good play. You know, he just chipped it out, no icing. I don't know if we caught a forward out there or not, the middle D-man, but I just tried to get a shot to the net, and it, like I said, it found a little hole and went in.
You guys only gave up 15 shots on goal in 60 minutes against the Predators, 25 and counting already tonight. What's been the difference?
I think we've got to tighten up a little bit defensively. We've taken a few penalties, and that's kind of gotten us out of our rhythm. I think their power play's had a few shots too, but you know, we've got a 1-goal lead going into the third. That's what we want, and we'll tighten it up from there.
All right, thanks, Ryan. Ryan Carter also had a 2-goal game a few years back against Marty Brodeur. Yeah, he remembers that. He's got Marty Brodeur on his side tonight. A quick break, and we'll continue here at the intermission. It's the Ryan Carter and the Devils 2, and the Rangers 1. Back after this.
Friday night on MSG+, the Devils take on the LA Kings. Live coverage gets underway at 6:30 with Visa Devils Game Night. Devils Kings Friday night. Join us on MSG+. Martin Brodeur and the Devils with a 1-goal lead as the third period begins. National Hockey League leaders in goals against average. This is coming into tonight. Goaltenders who played a minimum of 8 games. 2 of the Devils in the top 6. After Josh Harding, Tuukka Rask, Semyon Varlamov, and Marc-Andre Fleury, Brodeur and Corey Schneider each at 2.09, a tad better than Henrik Lundqvist.
Yeah, those first 4, Steve, their team's doing very well. In that group at number 5, that team's starting to make some noise. Boy, would this be a big bonus. You know, we talked about this week. You got the Rangers in here, you got LA and Pittsburgh at home. I really believe that we are going to know so much about this team come Saturday night when that Pittsburgh game ends. But right now, it's looking good. It's almost looking like old-time Devils hockey. You know, getting a lot of shots against, but they're finding the timely goals and really surviving when they have to. But now this third period is going to be a challenge.
And here we go as Peter Harold, one of 3 Devils defensemen with points in tonight's game, fires into the Rangers zone. Andy Green and Adam Larson also with assists, so the Devils getting some production from their back line. That was the case against Nashville on Sunday night as Travis Zajac dumps it in. Ryan McDonough back to pick up the puck for New York. Tries to maneuver away from Dina Zubris and now gets it back. Derek Stepan backs it off the near boards towards the Devils' end, and now on the second try, the Rangers send it in deep. Brodeur leaves for Adam Larson. Puck winds around. Rangers are waiting for it. Send it right back in. Larson picks up the loose puck and backs it off glass down into the Rangers' end. No icing here. Anton Stralman plays the puck. Gets it away from the on-rushing Michael Ryder. Rangers getting out to center. Damian Brunner backs it off the backboard. Zidlitsky can't control that. Rangers trying to punch it in front. Have Henrique there to intercept. And the puck comes here and taken here by Henrique a second time.
Well, how good has Marty Brodeur been, Steve? He's given up 3 goals in the last 100 shots. What a save percentage.
That's 970, Chico. That's simple math if you're just basing it on 100.
Good for you. I wouldn't.
I don't have a Rain Man thing going on here, but that was pretty easy. Dumped in here, Dorsett. Following up. Puck loose behind the Devils' net, and now they battle for it in the corner. Pouliot trying to control. Instead, it comes to Lockdown. He's brought down, and he draws the penalty.
Yeah, Pouliot trying to be aggressive in the doghouse recently. Just a little chop there right by the net. And now the Devils have a chance to really make a statement here. And good for Andre. He's hanging on to that puck. Again, they're under pressure, but you just don't want to throw it away blindly. He protected the puck, drew the penalty. And you know, it's interesting. I'm watching here, and I don't know the reason, but Jelena not starting the first power play. Maybe it's just that Pete DeBoer and the coaching staff wants some firepower on that second unit.
Harold and Green start this up now. It should be Jelena and Zidlitsky on the next wave. Let's see if it gets that far. Rangers start with a dump. Devils power play 0 for 2 tonight with 2 shots on that second try as Peter Harold starts the rush here for New Jersey. Lays it across in the direction of Andy Green, and it's sent the length of the ice by Dan Girardi.
Okay, now here Peter Harold's got to wait. Yager said, look for me coming through the neutral zone. If they take Yager away, then this other side's going to be open.
Bruner steers it into the Rangers zone. Girardi back to give chase. Easily plays it ahead to Zuccarello, and the Rangers skate it away. Brodeur tries to stick that away from Carl Hagelin. Devils having difficulty getting started on this power play. More time killed as Yager plays this back for Andy Green.
Well, we don't know when Patrick Elias is going to return, Steve, but boy, do the Devils miss him in situations like this.
Yager collects this as it's knocked off the stick of Michael Ryder. Devils set up now. Yager backs it off the backboard. Now Jelena gives here to Yager. Centering try by Yager. Shot by Ryder. Save made by Lundqvist. Devils able to keep this alive. Back to the point. Zidlitsky plays it across. And now Yager back to Zidlitsky. Looks for a lane. Fires. Blocked away in front and clear.
Give Lundqvist credit there, Steve. That was a dangerous jam at the side of the post. He was able to find the puck and make the save.
And the slap shot blocked by Brian Boyle. Lundqvist gets it away from Henrique. Rangers try to steer it out of the zone. And oh, that puck off the stick of Jelena caught a Ranger up high. That's Derek Dorsett. We play on. Henrique deep in the zone. Bernier battling forward as well. 10 seconds to go on this power play. It comes to the stick of Stepan and he clears.
Well, only the one good chance by the Devils on that power play, but it was a big one.
Pouliot's out of the box, heads to the bench. Back to 5-on-5. One shot for the Devils. Taken here at center ice by New York and Ryan Callahan. His shot swallowed up by Adam Larson. Comes back to the point and taken here. John Moore throws it to the side of the cage. Hagelin was waiting there. Devils try to chip it out of the zone. Ryan Carter, working on a 2-goal night, skates it away. Deflected by Moore, who fires back in. Opening minutes of the third period. Devils leading the Rangers 2-1.
Nice play by Brodeur, taking away the forecheck by the Rangers.
Larson pass deflects off Teddenby. Redirection by Richards goes high of Brodeur's cage. Carter tangled up with John Moore. Rangers send it back in deep. Brodeur plays the puck, tries to keep it away from Richards. Teddenby on a second try will help work it out of the zone. Devils in the midst of a change. Josephson knocked down in front of his bench. Rangers want the too many men on the ice fall.
Gonna get a hand on the puck. Josephson puts his hand on the puck, Steve, and I guess it's clear. I thought you could. You can move it. Well, no, you can't anymore. Remember, they changed that. You can cup the puck and push it to a teammate, but you can't totally put your hand all over the biscuit and then kind of stick handle with your hand. And referees make a good call. Watch here. Coming right there, see? It was quick, and I think Jacob realized, hey, I can't do this, but it was too late.
Been using Jacob on the penalty kill too, not in this situation. Rangers trying to use this opportunity to tie the game as Ryan McDonough plays this to the stick of Derek Stepan. Taken away by the Devils and cleared by Travis Zajac.
Andy Green again, just doing such a great job of pressuring the opposition puck carrier.
McDonough skates at the center for the Rangers. Over the Devils line, quick shot, snicked aside by Brodeur. Eaten up by the Devils and clear.
How nice a rebound was that? Marty Brodeur put that exactly where he wanted to, and Dynas just gobbled it up and easily cleared the zone.
40 seconds elapsed on the Devils penalty kill. Now Brad Richards gets it started for the Rangers. Worked across to the cutting Delzato. Controlled by the Rangers. Taken here, Chris Kreider laid it back. Shot by Delzato is blocked away. Green able to chip it out. Lokianov trying to get on the loose puck. Following up here is Zubras. This is still a 2-on-1. Dynas Zubras shoots and he fired high.
It goes off the head of Lundqvist.
Shot by Green, and that goes wide. This is all short-handed for the Devils. Zidlitsky takes it down low. It comes loose in front, and the net partially dislodged as we get a stoppage in play. Here's the Tri-Honda game recap. Third period, Ryan Carter with his third career 2-goal game. Mark Stahl has scored for New York. When leading after 2, so far it's been that good for the Devils.
Well, that penalty kill was very good as well. Andy Green with a great play in his own end to clear the zone. And that was the earlier clear by the Devils, but they made all the right decisions in that penalty kill.
Still 40 seconds to go here on the kill as Hagelin plays this across. Quick shot saved by Brodeur.
Oh, what a play by Carter.
Back to the point, John Moore with a drive, and that's off a body in front. Delzato trying to hold the zone. Zajac will take the loose puck and back it out to center, and Carter sends it the length of the ice. Jacob Josephson recovering the puck. Final 13 seconds of the kill. Hammered right back in. Henrique will get on the loose puck here. Terrific kill for the 6th-ranked unit in the league entering tonight. Given away to Adam Henrique. Teams are back to 5-on-5. Josephson out of the box and heads to the bench. 3 shots on the Rangers power play. Picked up here at center by Ryan Callahan. He's over the line. Tries to maneuver around. Jelena, a big save by Brodeur. Denies the Ranger captain. Along the near boards, Jágr gets it out to center. And it's hammered back in by Dan Girardi. High drama in the third period here at the Garden. Jágr reaches out, glove down at center. Lokianov lost his edge and then lost the puck. Taken here by J.T. Miller. He's over the line, tries to work around Jelena. Centering try, but knocked away by Lokianov. Shot by the Rangers, McDonough goes wide, and it's chipped out to center by Carter. Played across, McDonough drops it back. A shot by Miller goes off a Devil's stick and out of play.
And guess who that Devil was? Andy Green. What a game he's having. Andy Green, but Andy Green just shaking all that physical stuff off and making some enormous plays, folks, defensively. I mean, just time after time, Andy, I think, yeah, this is as good as I've seen him play defensively in his career, and the Devils have needed it.
Just over 12 minutes to go. Devils down to 5 defensemen most of the night. They have been exceptional. Take it here. Stepan with a shot, but stopped by Brodeur. Picked up here by Stralman for New York. Chris Kreider behind the net, tries to come out with it. Reverses course on Larson. Kreider has it taken away by Adam Larson and worked ahead and punched out to center. Picked up here by Damian Brunner for New Jersey. And hammered into the zone by Michael Ryder. Pops up high but stays in play. To the stick of Derek Stepan. Long pass out of the zone just by the reach of Chris Kreider. Brodeur gets it away from the on-rushing BC man, and now the Devils with the long pass to the stick of Kreider. He's tied up by McDonough, plays it across for the cutting Carter. Buck caroms away, and here's Callahan, who picks up Brad Richards, drops it back. Big shot, McDonough, save Brodeur, and swept away by Harold. 2-on-1 the other way. Ryder has Henrique with him. Drops it back. Carter with a drive, and a stop made by Henrik Lundqvist.
Ooh, that had hat trick written all over it. But good job by Carter as well as the Devils. Boy, are they responding, and Marty Brodeur, what can you say? See, if I could say anything about Brodeur, and somebody could say, yeah, but you're kind of biased when it comes to goalies and Brodeur, but I'm asking you as well as the folks watching. Have you seen Marty Brodeur? Have you seen any weakness in his game? I mean, doesn't he look like he did 10 years ago? I mean, I'm just looking. Is there anything he's not doing? He's playing the puck more aggressively than I've seen him all season long. He's coming off the pipe, challenging, rebound control, outstanding. My point is, I look at him and I think, is he a little slow? Does he not have the leg strength? But I see nothing except good stuff coming out of Brodeur. And Lundqvist got stung by that shot. Cam Talbot sitting there wondering, am I going to have to go in here? Hope not. Talbot's 3-1-0.
They tend to Henrik Lundqvist, shaken up on that last shot by Ryan Carter. It's fair to say Brodeur, and I'm not sure how it can change so quickly, is more explosive than he was 4 weeks ago, and I don't know how that can be explained, if it can be explained.
Well, here's a couple things. You know, watching him on the morning of the skate or just in practice, he worked harder than he ever had because he wasn't playing. So that accelerated his conditioning, and now that he's got this string of games, well, all the instincts are back, and he's just been outstanding.
Off the draw, taken here by Josephson in the direction of Steve Bernier. Away from him by John Moore. Michael Del Zotto, Ranger defenseman, under pressure. Lifted back towards the point and skated away. Opportunity here, Derek Dorsett. Peter Harold cutting back to help defend with Jelena. Picked up here in the corner. Brassard plays it back to the point. John Moore looks for a lane, fires, and that's blocked away by Peter Harold. Del Zotto works it across to the stick of Moore. Steered into the Devils zone, and this puck deflects out of play. Faceoff will come out to the neutral zone. Devils fans, stay tuned for the Devils postgame presented by Esurance. Highlights, stats, Chico and Dano, their take on tonight's game. Deb Placey with the star of the game and much more.
You know, I said to my friend this morning, you know, there's so much anticipation for this game tonight. I hope it lives up to it. I don't know about you, Steve, but I can't wait for the end of this game. But even the Esurance postgame, the comments that could come out of there, because this is the Titanic battle, I think, for this early in the season. It's a measuring game. Is it, oh, Jágr falls, is going to take a penalty. Excuse me, Steve, he trips and falls, but his arms are draped over Kreider, and he's going to the box.
In the offensive zone, now Andy Green takes the puck, and better than halfway through period 3, the Devils penalty kill unit, so strong tonight, will have to come up big again.
You've heard Pete DeBoer mention it, fellow Devils, us up here in the booth, about the passion of Jaromir Jágr. Now that's a penalty, but watch what he does here. This is what I love. He's saying, McDonough, you dove there. Now that's not the end of it. Watch as he goes up there. He slashed him, he whacked him another one. I love that fire because he's mad because he thinks that McDonough sprawled on that. Actually, as we looked at a great look from the camera down low, the referee's got to call that. Jaromir is 6'3", so desperate to get the puck. He is draping some players now recently, and if they go down, you're going to get that penalty 9 out of 10 times. But the Devils' penalty killing has been outstanding tonight, and they looking to come through again.
And their face-offs have been great tonight as well, Chico. Travis Zajac just won another. They've taken 56% of the draws tonight on the road. Picked up here by Zuccarello, who dumps in. Green back to defend. Eric Stepan tries to reverse it back towards McDonough. Peter Harold tied up with Ryan McDonough. Puck comes loose to the stick of Dinas Zubris, who sends it the length of the ice.
Just the confidence that the Devils are showing now as compared to early in the season is remarkable to me. It shows you how teams can be so much more than you might anticipate with that secret confidence thing.
Brodeur tried to clear it himself, gets some help from Adam Henry. Rangers collect this at center. Pass at center ice. That's caught up in the skates of Brad Richards. He sends it towards the Devils' end, and Marek Zidlitsky sends it right back out.
Tommy McPhee used to say, confidence, confidence. Somebody go and give me a pail of that. That's all I hear about is confidence. I want some. But it's the truth. You can't describe it, but the players know it.
Andy Green tried to send it around the boards. Rangers collect this, and now they'll set up. Hagelin works it back to the point. Played across. Brad Richards back. Shot blocked away in front. Rangers try to get on the rebound, but it's deflected out to center.
Not forget Marek Zidlitsky at 36. What a game he's having.
McDonough and the Rangers are offside with 26 seconds left in the holding call to Jágr.
Well, with 5D, you know, everybody's going to have more minutes than normal. But Marek Zidlitsky is now killing penalties. He blocked the shot, Steve, and he pushed the puck away under pressure. Now just watch how here he's going to come back, but watch number 2. It's this pushing away of the puck coming right there. You see how he got it away from the Ranger? That was the key to breaking that play up.
Off the draw, Devils control. It's another face-off one, and Peter Harold will send it the length of the ice. Played back towards Moore, who starts things up for the Rangers. 15 to go in the Devils' penalty kill. Hagelin trying to pick up the loose puck and send it in front. It comes instead to Andy Green. Able to hold his own is John Moore for New York. Puck sent in deep. Peter Harold quickly on the loose puck for the Devils. Zubris takes a hit along the near boards. Hammered away. Henry picks up Jágr, who's out of the box. Jaromir Jágr in. Save made by Lundqvist.
Good try by Jaromir Jágr, but a better read by number 30, Henrik Lundqvist. He's made one mistake tonight on the second goal, but he's saying it's not going to happen again. And you know, Jágr feels the presence of Stahl. Stahl's right breathing down his neck, and I think that hurries Jágr. I was looking for him to do what he did on that breakaway against Tampa, and maybe he wanted to, but Stahl's stick was tapping him on the left side here. Watch. There's that stick. And Jágr just had to pull it through the legs. He went back to the post. Good save by Lundqvist. That big Rangers get a point. That's their turning point for them.
Sent in deep. Brodeur has this behind his cage. Works it ahead. Ryder along the near boards. Devils able to punch this out to center and collected by the Rangers as Stralman fires right back in. Big part of the story for the Devils tonight, their penalty kill. They've kept the Rangers power play 0 for 5 to this point in the game. Jelena takes a hit from Pouliot. Bruner tries to work it out of the zone. That's kept in by Boyle, but it comes to the stick of Jelena and dumped in by Jacob Josephson. And it's icing against New Jersey.
How about Eric Jelena there, Steve? He is under pressure. The Devils are protecting a 1-goal lead. He just calmly takes it and makes a little touch pass back to his teammate, and the Devils break out. I mean, that's what impresses me, his defensive composure under extreme pressure. He just has it all figured out. He's making the right play time after time.
Off the draw, Girardi with a shot that's blocked away by Brodeur. Larson behind his own cage. Sends it into the corner. Rangers quickly on this. Centering try, loose in front, and that try wouldn't go. Another one is blocked away by Brodeur. Kreider is on this for the Rangers. Back to the point. Girardi, wrist shot, he scores off a deflection in front, and the Rangers tie the game.
Now, is that not a defenseman for you? Girardi, no goals, right? He has half the net down low, but shanks it wide, and I'm thinking, well, I can see why he doesn't score. He goes back to the point and fires one into traffic, and he's chuckling too. And I don't know if Zuccarello gets hit with this. This is after, excuse me, no, that was Girardi in tight, getting the chance. That was going to come back to him. Well, that didn't work. I'll just risk this in, and it hit somebody. I think it might have hit Adam Larsson. We don't know, but I see Marty is, oh boy. Yep, you know, trying to block it. Adam Larsson was, hit the toe of his skate, bounced up, and Marty got just the tip of his glove on it, but not enough.
So the Rangers come back for the second time tonight with 6.5 to go. We're back to a tie hockey game. Callahan sees it pumped away by New Jersey, and now Travis Zajac plays it in deep. Deliver the hit on Girardi. Puck taken away. Jágr works it back to the point. Wrist shot by Harold, and that's blocked away by Lundqvist. Jágr quickly on the loose puck, sends in deep. Dan Girardi plays it ahead. The Ranger captain Callahan plays this across. Richards fires, and Brodeur steers that aside. Picked up by Zidlitsky. Funnels it off the glass, and it comes out to center. Picked up at center ice by Ryan Carter. Works it across. Bernier back for Carter, cutting towards goal, and Lundqvist steers that aside. Slow to his feet. Strawman has to play the puck with his skate. Devils battle forward along the near board. Ryan Carter sees it work free. Now Bernier gets it back to the point. Shot by Larsson, deflects away off Mark Stahl and into the corner.
Sorry, Steve. For a couple reasons, obviously, the foreshortness bench. He's going with 3 lines, rotating Carter in there as well.
Icing against the Rangers with 5:11 left.
Adam Larsson doing such a good job of blocking shots. He had his man tied up, you know, and the puck's not coming at a tremendous speed, and he thinks he can get it. So he tried to kick at it, hit the top of his skate, and then went a little higher than Marty was anticipating and hit Marty's tongue of his glove, and then popped into the net as we see a timeout. Who would that be?
Well, that would be Alain Vigneault, and his players are tired from that last shift, and he needs to give them a breather before resume. No changes after the icing.
Well, Jaromir Jágr, hey Steve, he gets a breakaway, doesn't score. There you see the bouncing puck, the ricocheting biscuit off the toe. And look at Girardi saying, I missed the wide open net, can't score there. So then I'm just going to throw it into the net. Girardi is still laughing about it, Steve. And that's the life of a defenseman.
They were showing that on the big board here at Madison Square Garden. The big enhancements here, by the way, to this arena. But now the high drama. 5:11 to go. 2-2 game. Devils have seen 33 pucks shot at Martin Brodeur tonight. 26 have come Lundqvist's way. They've been good. Who will be the hero? Zajac steps in to take the draw against Boyle. Another big win for Travis. Played back. Zidlitsky fires. Save made by Lundqvist. And no rebound to be had. We'll step aside for the final time. 2-2 at the Garden.
The turning point of the game is brought to you by Lexus. Continuing the pursuit of perfection. Devils have just killed off a shorthanded situation. And then Jágr on the bank shot. He gets a breakaway. It's 2-1 at this juncture. That would have made it 3-1 instead after this great save. Now Jágr takes Lundqvist across the crease, but Lundqvist wouldn't raise that left pad. And then moments after that, the Rangers tied it. 2-goal swing, and Lundqvist right now is the key save so far tonight.
The assists going to Kreider and McDonough on the game-tying goal from Dan Girardi. Whisked out of the zone by Brassard, taken here by the Devils, and Jágr darts right back into the Ranger zone and dumps it in deep. Girardi under pressure. Jelena, the big shot. That deflects into the corner. Picked up by the Rangers and punched out to center. Dorsett fired it right up high on Jelena on the quick stoppage in play. Eric Jelena is down.
And I don't even want to Think about this one. Rich Denziano out there, and I can't see if he's caught. Looks like he might be. Oh, he's not. All right. You know, it all depends on how that puck strikes you in the face. And you're going to see it here. Dorsett throwing it up, trying to go across ice there, so it wasn't intentional. He couldn't throw it straight ahead because there was a devil there. And there you see him saying, hey, I'm sorry, but Eric leaving the playing surface hurts now as the Devils are down 2 defensemen. And, you know, Rangers didn't like the fact that they had a breakaway when the whistle was called, but I think it was a good call by the officials. Here's an earlier one where McDonough, he got hit on the inside of the knee. It's dangerous out there right now.
Well, now the 4 remaining Devils defensemen going to have to go a little deeper now. Picked up here by Henrique. Bruner at center. Adam Henrique following up for the Devils. Delayed offside. Now New Jersey is good, but the Rangers have the puck, and it comes to Chris Kreider. 2-assist night for him as he dumps in. And I believe they're going to call this icing, although Kreider appeared to be over the center ice stripe.
Well, Eric Jelena had just went into the runway and he walked right through the crowd. That's the way you have to do it now to get to the bench. They didn't want to open the Zamboni door. And you know what? I think it came off his shoulder and then hit him. It must have been flat because there's no cut, but it obviously still hurt.
Good to see him back off the draw. Mark Stahl quickly on the puck and shovels it across in the direction of Zuccarello. Another stoppage as this deflects into the Devils bench.
Well, both teams now want to get a point. Eric wants to get back out there as soon as possible, get the feel of the game again. Goes to 4-on-4. You want that young man out there at a juncture of the overtime. And that's Ryan Carter, 2 goals. Going for a hat trick. He and Loktionov and Bernie have had some good chances here in the third, Steve.
It's the unit that's on now, and Loktionov wins the draw. It's taken here by Zidlitsky. Pass across. Carter trying to get on this with Michael Del Zotto, the defenseman, back. Shovels it across for Moore. Loktionov delivers a check, tries to draw the puck loose. They bunch up in the corner, and the Rangers break out. Callahan's pass for Carl Hagelin. The speedy Swede over the line. Back to Callahan, who sends it in deep. Picked up here by Andy Green. Tries to hammer it ahead. Rangers take the loose puck, work it back to the point. Moore gives it up. Shot by Del Zotto and a save made by Brodeur. Callahan to track down the loose puck. Under 3.5 to go. His sharp angle try deflects out of play. Friday on MSG Plus, the Devils take on the Kings. Live coverage at 6:30 with Visa Devils Game Night. The Devils in Los Angeles in the Stanley Cup Final rematch Friday on MSG Plus.
Well, you can't ask for a better weekend of hockey. You got the Penguins with all that firepower, the Kings, who are one of the elite teams in the league, and it's all happening at the Prudential Center, and the Devils are just hoping that they can continue their hot streak and keep it going on by the weekend.
We'll see if Sidney Crosby warms up, and Malkin too by the time the weekend happens. A couple of the key Penguins players have been slumping lately. Malkin hadn't scored in 10 games.
You got Jonathan Quick coming back east through Doughty. The Richards, Carter, who played for Philly, so they'll be cranked up to come back and play in this area.
Face off in the Devils' end, and it comes here to the stick of Adam Larson. Taken at center by Dan Girardi. That's Zajac who lost the glove. Now he's got himself together, and Larson able to get this out to center. Picked up here by Jaromir Jagr. Good pass. Picks up Zajac, who's in quickly. Zajac plays it across. Zubras on a backhand, and a shot blocked away. He scores on a rebound. Dainis Zubras jumping into his arms is Travis Zajac. The Devils have the lead with 2:55 to go.
Wow, I mean, it's a great goal, Steve. But I got to tell you, Larson throws it to the neutral zone, and Jagr is totally cut off. But watch what he does here. This is an incredible pass. Zuccarello is all over him. I mean, he must have had 3 inches to put the puck into the middle of the ice and hits a Ranger, but it comes right back to Dainis Zubras. And a good play here by the big line. The pass by Zajac. The backhander strikes Girardi, but the Good bounce right back to Dainis Zubras, and he buries it. But I got to tell you, Steve, that pass in the neutral zone, honestly, it just isn't any better than that. It's incredible how he got that to Zajac.
Jaromir Jagr continuing his exceptional play, and now let's see if the Devils can hold this with 2:40 to go as Stahl plays this across and the Rangers break out. Glove down by Boyle. He's over the Devils line. Peter Harold crashes into the corner. Lost his edge, and now we get a whistle.
Well, now we're going to see it. Now watch this. There's one Ranger behind him. McDonough. Zuccarello's coming right into his face. And not only did Jagr get it by him, but he got it right on the tape of Travis Zajac, who then made a wonderful pass over to Dainis Zubras. And this line's got to feel good about themselves. Last night it was Travis Zajac with a confidence-building goal, and tonight Dainis Zubras, as Ricky Stinziano's talking to him. I don't know if he's got looks like he's talking maybe about a sore neck. I'm not sure.
Off the draw, Girardi shoots. Save made by Brodeur. The rebound, he got it with the pad as well. Devils try to punch it out of the zone. Rangers on the loose puck. Taken here in the corner to the stick of Steve Bernier, who backhands it out to center. Dainis Zubras with his first goal since October 19th. That was the game against the Rangers as well. And this would stand to be a big one if it holds up. His third of the year for the New Jersey lead. McDonough plays it across. That pass got by him, and Bernier sends it right back in deep. McDonough reverses course, trying to shake loose of Jagr. Gives to Dan Girardi. 3-2 Devils. Callahan dumps in. Brodeur steers that aside. Andy Green quickly on the loose puck. Plays it ahead. Shoveled across by Adam Henrique. Deflects here to the stick of Moore. He's in. Quick shot. Deflected out of play with 1:24 to go in regulation time.
Well, give the Devils defensive corps yeoman kudos for the way they block shots with their sticks and their bodies. Moore's got a pretty hard shot, but Peter Harold makes sure it didn't reach Marty Brodeur once again. And remember the Rangers, the goal's empty, Steve, but they used their timeout. Remember earlier when they had the icing call and the boys were tired, but now it's going to be the Devils taking the timeout, which I'm not going to argue with, but
how much does a coaching staff wrestle with that, by the way? Because you're giving the opposition time to at least formulate what they want to do, not that they're going to be able to do it.
You know, I don't know on this one. I was a little surprised Pete called it now because, you know, the Rangers didn't really have much going, so it wasn't like they had all their plays set up. It does give Alain Vigneault a chance to change some men on his lineup, but I mean, that's okay. I think Pete's saying 124. I want to remind them not just about this face-off, but if something else happens, I'm sure he's going over more than just one aspect. But it's such a critical point in the standings. And Travis Zajac, you mentioned it, Steve. Has he come alive in the face-off circle, and they're asking him to do it again.
It'll be Richards who steps in against Travis Zajac. Primary assist is his on the go-ahead goal by Zubras. Zajac got it back. Kreider, though, is able to get it back to the point. Weak shot from the point. Collected here by New Jersey and backed out to center. McDonough's back. Ranger net is empty. 6 skaters to 5 as Ryan McDonough is chased back by Steve Bernier. Long pass out of the zone. Goes the length of the ice. It is an icing call with 1:03 to go.
Well, there's that new icing call that Ryan Callahan's not happy about. He would have got to that puck first. The Devils, good forecheck, not allowing the Rangers to have an easy breakout. Lundqvist has to come back between the pipes.
Zajac to face the offensive zone draw. Bernier, Henrique, Harold, and Green on for New Jersey. This time Rangers get it back. Girardi punches it ahead. Lundqvist looks to the bench again and now makes his move, but the Rangers are offside going into the zone.
Kreider just so anxious to get in on the forecheck. Had a step on the play, and they're moving it back to the Rangers side of the ice. So Lundqvist will hang somewhere on hash marks. Very good composure by the Devils now in the last 30-40 seconds. It's interesting. Henrik's going to take this one. It's not that it's not an important face-off, but just not letting Travis be maybe be schooled. You know, he's saying, you get in there and let him have a different look. If I need to come in, I will.
Big takeaway at center ice, and Bernier dumps it back in. That'll keep Lundqvist pinned in his crease for a few seconds longer at least. Zuccarello plays it across, picked up here by Kreider. He dumps in. Lundqvist to the bench again. 6 skaters on for New York. Puck taken here by New Jersey, and Harold will send it away. Not enough on it for an icing call. Brad Richards quickly plays it ahead. Rangers trying to steal it into the zone. Now they do. Comes off an imperfection in the boards. Taken away by New Jersey, and Harold will lift it away again. And this is an icing call with 13 seconds remaining.
Well, Peter won't be happy. He saw Carter out of the corner of his eye way up in neutral zone on the left wing, and I knew what he was thinking, but he caught it on a stick and fired it so high that Ryan would have had to been like 12 feet tall to get it. So, number 19, back under pressure for for both teams. They're both 19.
Brad Richards steps in against Travis Zajac. Critical draw here. Puck comes back. Rangers have it. Stepan turns around and shoots. It comes here to Ryan Carter with the net empty. He was looking to make the safe play, and the faceoff will come back in the Devils zone nevertheless.
There had been some glass there. It would have been an outstanding play. But Ryan knows I'm not going for the hat trick. I'm just happy to be out here to protect it. And now they're making a change. Jaromir Jagr was out there. Is he staying out? Yeah, he's staying out there. 6.7 seconds to go.
Henrique takes the draw to Brodor's left. Rangers get it back. Callahan pulled the trigger. Big block by Jaromir Jagr, and the game is over. The Devils come to Madison Square Garden and defeat the Rangers 3-2.
Well, Stephen, you talked about a team victory at the top of the show against Nashville. You described this one the same way. Ryan Carter steps up and gets a couple, but with Volchenkov going down, the Devils needed their 5 remaining defensemen to play one of the strongest games of the season. They did that. I mean, Zedlitsky was all over the ice, played a great game. And you just go down the list again. Devils winning as a team, and the confidence continues to grow in all of them, but especially Marty Brodeur. Not that he ever was lacking confidence, but it's got to feel good for him as well. And now it's the Nissan goal of the game, and guess which one it's going to be? A brilliant pass. Travis Zajac over to Dinas Subras, has the first shot blocked, but it comes right back to Dinas, and this time he chips it over the pad of Lundqvist, and it stunned the crowd. You know, the Devils weren't getting a lot going offensively, but then a brilliant pass by Jagr and a nice finish there by Dinas Subras. I mean, how many times do you see Travis Zajac leave his skates to hug a teammate who scored, but it showed you the emotion that went into this game for the Devils.
Travis with points in consecutive games for the first time all year. Devils have taken 7 of a possible 8 points in their last 4. Kings Devils Friday at 7 on MSG. Plus, the Esurance Devils postgame show is next.